It is my pleasure to introduce today's keynote speaker, Elizabeth Nabel, currently the Advisory Board Chair at OPKO Health. Dr. Nabel is a distinguished professor of medicine emerita at Harvard Medical School. From 2010 to 2021, she served as the president of Brigham Health and Brigham and Women's Hospital. And prior to these positions, Dr. Nabel held a variety of leadership roles, including the directorship of the National Heart, Lung, and Blood Institute, and Chief of Cardiology and Director of the Cardiovascular Research Institute at the University of Michigan. Building on her lifelong commitment to improving health through science, Dr. Nabel was the first chief and medical advisor to the National Football League from 2015 to 2018, where she provided strategic input to the league's medical, health, and scientific efforts. Dr. Nabel is an accomplished physician scientist. Her work on the molecular genetics of cardiovascular diseases produced 17 patents, over 250 publications, and 2 startup companies. I am also privileged to have known Betsy for many, many, many years. I like to quip that I knew Betsy before she was Betsy. She is a remarkable member of our community, and I look forward to her sharing her wisdom with us. Betsy, over to you.
Well, thank you, George, for the kind introduction and for inviting me. I'm so honored to be with all of you today. George, we are so fortunate to have you as our dean. You are a magnificent role model, an exemplary leader, a physician scientist at the highest level, and a great friend. Thank you. Fellow deans, esteemed program directors and faculty members, proud parents and family members and devoted friends, congratulations to all of you. But especially congratulations to the 245 graduates of this year's Master's Harvard degree programs. Well done. You have learned and experienced a lot over the past few years. And indeed, these have been tough years, going through the pandemic and post-pandemic period. But your work is at the cutting edge of modern medicine and biomedical research, navigating the interface between research, healthcare, and data, adhering to the highest standards to treat patients and teach students, embracing the global community, innovating cross-cutting scientific initiatives like AI and machine learning, drug design and immunology, and all the various ways that these topics intersect. You are all bright, talented, and self-starters, and you will continue to be leaders in your field and the broader biomedical community. Some of you will work in science, others in healthcare, policy, or global health, either continuing your current work or in a new role. Others will continue in school and earn an MD, PhD, or other advanced degree. But no matter what path you choose, all of you have the intellect and the persistence to be great at what you choose to do. Today, I'd like to talk with you about a different type of success. That is, the values that you bring to your work each day. While your native intelligence will carry you far, what really matters in life is your character, your values, and how you conduct yourself. Integrity, trust, dignity, respect for others. In our community, we often do not explicitly talk about or reward these intangibles, but yet these values are the glue that bind us together and propel us forward successfully. Whether you aspire to be a leader or a team player, there's a personal side to your behavior that very much affects your impact. The term emotional intelligence was coined in the 1990s. Many call it EQ. It's the ability to understand and manage your emotions, as well as to recognize, understand, and influence the emotions of others. But why is EQ so important today? But just look around. Our world is rife with tension and conflict, with wars, campus protests, and political disarray. No one wants to listen or try to understand the other side. We honestly wonder sometimes whether our country and its values will survive. And that's why we look to you, the next generation of biomedical researchers, to be data-driven, balanced, and thoughtful in how you treat others. We need you to lead us to a higher ground, to listen, to understand, to reach out, to seek consensus, and seek the greater good. How do you achieve this balance? Fortunately, there are great thinkers who consider these issues deeply and freely share their guidance. I'm a longtime admirer of the globally recognized public intellect and New York Times columnist David Brooks, who speaks eloquently about leadership. Here's what he offers, and I agree. First, embrace humility. Humility is the awareness that there's a lot you don't know, and that a lot of what you do know is distorted or wrong. Second, respect others. Be attentive. Make others feel seen, heard, and valued. And finally, let your passions find you. Open yourselves up to identify causes that you can get behind and make needed change. Let me share some of my own experience to illustrate what this can look like. First, humility. Know that you don't always know the answer and recognize what you don't know. Commit to continue to learn, including learning from failure. That can be pretty hard and often not very fun, but failure is a pretty good teacher. Living humbly offers a lens to see opportunities for advocacy and action to make change for others. Let me give you an example of an experience I had when I was an internal medicine resident in the emergency room at the Brigham a number of years ago. It's an example of how assumptions, biases, and stereotypes can lead us in the wrong way. So as a resident, I took care of a 32-year-old woman with a set of fairly non-distinct symptoms. She had a low-grade fever, she was feeling tired, and generally unwell. I ordered a chest x-ray and EKG and some other blood tests. She appeared to have a viral syndrome, and so I sent her home on supportive care for her fever and aches. 2 days later, she was back, having suffered a full-blown heart attack. How could this be? Women don't have heart attacks, was the dogma of the time. I had been taught that heart disease was a man's disease. Because clinical studies in heart disease at that time had been done in men, the classic symptoms of a heart attack we were taught were those of men. We now know that women and men can have different heart attack symptoms. And fortunately, we now require that women are represented in clinical studies. And we know now that heart disease is the #1 killer of women. But at that time, I missed her heart attack symptoms completely. Luckily for my patient, when she came back, we were able to save her life with interventional therapies, and she got a second chance. Today, or maybe in a few years, we'll have an AI assistant to help with our diagnosis, but we're not there yet. Current algorithms may harbor the same biases that threw me off years ago. So this is an area that I hope many of you will lean in. Undoubtedly, as we've talked about so much, AI is going to change medicine, science, and healthcare, and we need humans. We need you to be in the loop. But as I look back, my patient's case was a hidden story waiting to be told, a story that I recognized I could tell to change the way we think about heart disease. Years later, as director of the National Heart, Lung, and Blood Institute at the NIH, I had more tools in hand to do something on a larger scale. I leveraged my leadership position to drive change by having the NHLBI create the Heart Truth Awareness Campaign and the red dress as a symbol of women and heart disease. We partnered with many professional and advocacy organizations, including the American Heart Association, the American College of Cardiology, and Women Heart. We also knew that as a federal government agency, our reach would be limited. So we partnered with Ogilvy and the fashion industry to create the Red Dress Fashion Show. Many thought we were crazy at the time. But then First Lady Laura Bush agreed to be our national ambassador. She took this on as one of her causes, and she did many events with us. She was an articulate and effective spokesperson and really got the message out. So today we understand that we approach medicine with biases and incomplete knowledge. Let's start with the humility to recognize our own limitations in order to make the fundamental changes in medicine that are needed for the good of our patients. Second, respect. It's obvious to many of us that respect is a virtue in short supply today. We live in a chaotic, often combative world. It seems like everybody has to choose a side and defend it. But I urge you to seek a higher ground. Be a careful listener. Hear what others have to say. Understand their positions, and pivot as you need to. Strong leadership respects the contributions of others. And as medicine changes, we all need to team up across disciplines, across sectors, across continents, to tackle the really hard problems that can't be accomplished by one person or a single point of view. Our world is changing dramatically. Biomedicine and healthcare are exploding with opportunity. New technologies like CRISPR and AI are revolutionizing drug discovery. Chatbots offer humans the opportunity to do things easier and faster. In the middle of this change, it's not enough to stay in your own lane. I encourage you to think of yourselves much more broadly as citizens of the world. When I started in medicine many years ago, the world was a lot smaller. I faced different challenges as a young woman from Minnesota who wanted to be a doctor. That was not the expected path for me. There were many biases, barriers, and glass ceilings to women entering medical school and subsequently holding leadership positions in medicine and biomedical research. Fortunately, I had supporters and mentors, including Dr. Eugene Braunwald, who was chair of medicine at the Brigham at the time, who was an immigrant to this country at the end of World War II, and he also well understood the artificial barriers to advancement. His guidance led me to choose cardiology as a specialty well-positioned to combine academic clinical medicine with biomedical research. I subsequently had the good fortune to work in academic medicine, the federal government, that is the National Institutes of Health, and now biotech, all while weaving a thread of innovation in biomedical research to support new technologies and therapeutics to improve the lives of our patients. And all the while, I tried to leverage my successes and many alliances to elevate important issues. After the NHLBI, I returned to lead the Brigham. There, I helped create partnerships with talented individuals like yourselves, students, residents, faculty, other Boston biomedical leaders, to create opportunities for partnerships across the globe. One of the more important is the longstanding partnership of Harvard Medical School and the Brigham with Partners in Health, whom many of you know was founded by the late Dr. Paul Farmer, Dr. Jim Kim, and Ophelia Dahl, when Paul and Jim were residents at the Brigham. I had come to know Paul when I was at the NHLBI as we partnered with NIAID and Dr. Tony Fauci to support some Partners in Health programs. I admired and respected Paul and Jim deeply. So when I returned to the Brigham, I saw it as one of my missions to continue to support the work of Partners in Health in partnership with Harvard Medical School. Some of you have had an opportunity to work with PIH under the superb leadership of Dr. Joya Mukherjee. Joya, thank you for all you've done. for the lives that you have touched and improved across the globe, and the students you have taught and mentored. Thank you. With the nations of Rwanda and Haiti, PIH created medical schools and hospitals, built capacity and infrastructure, and educated and trained many individuals. And importantly, care for the most impoverished has been joyfully given. There are many other examples of programs that capture the vision and talent of you and your remarkable colleagues to create equity in healthcare, where for too long biases, prejudice, and discrimination have dominated. But underlying all of this work is respect. Respect for the dignity and lives of others, working in teams, as colleagues, to build a better life for those who do not have the access, resources, or opportunities that we do. Third, finally, let your passions find you and stay with you. Rather than obsessing over finding your passion, be patient. Let life's experiences guide you, as passion often emerges organically from what you do and who you meet. It's very unlikely that you will find one position and stay in it for decades. That's not how today's world works. Embrace new opportunities to weave in and out of the many facets of modern medicine. Let what matters to you be your compass. Innovation in biomedical research is what matters to me, and I've tried to weave it into career decisions at every stage. In 2021, I stepped down from the Brigham to join a biotech startup founded by my husband, Gary, and our wonderful colleague and former NIH Director, Elias Zerhouni. Through our combined expertise, connections, and determination of medical need, we chose to focus on immune therapies for cancer and infectious diseases. Biotech is an essential piece of the biomedical ecosystem for advancing health. Some of you will find paths there, and if you do, I hope you will reach out to your colleagues in academia and the government to get important things done. We will only make progress by combining the total strengths of academia, government-supported biomedical research, and the private sector. No one sector can do it alone. Again, innovation is key. So once again, I'm honored to be with you today to wish you well as you navigate your next moves. Use your personal values, compassion, and empathy to drive positive change. Live your values while respecting others. Seek a greater good and be the force to find it. Be humble, knowing that we're all human and we all make mistakes. I'll leave you with more guidance from David Brooks reflected in his 2023 book, How to Know a Person. The main message is that it's all upon us to recognize that what people really want is to matter. Mattering is one of the most basic human needs beyond food and shelter. At its core, it's about making sure those people you encounter throughout your lives know who they are, know that they matter, and know that what they do matters. You can do it. You've got the talent, the knowledge, and the will to take us to a better future. We need you to use your talents and give generously to a world that badly needs positive change. Thank you, and Godspeed.